Hello, my name is Alexis Gabriel Figueroa, and this is the risk audit for The End of Nowhere, a local winery business in Amador City. So we can look at the business profile of this wine business, in which case it operates in a monopolistic competition, which basically means there are a lot of small firms, but they sell similar but not identical products. So in the case of our wineries here, they sell similar wines, but they have differentiating qualities that make them unique enough to be not identical. And in this case, your competitive advantage is your all natural wines, which everything from what you've made to where you source them, all of those are local and natural, which allows you to accentuate the natural flavors of the region and makes some for unique local wines to have an appeal to local customers and for people wanting a taste of the Amador City wine. And we can look at your fixed costs too, where you have things like your licensing fees, you have your salaries, and then you also have the rent that you pay. And in this case, you have around 5,000 to pay per month, which is very high. So that means you need a high amount of sales per day or a steady stream of customers to actually keep afloat or to make profit in your sales. But then also we can look at your variable costs, which are things like the grapes that you use, the wine bottles you need to store your wine, and also the wages that you pay your people to make the wine. And this comes out to around $21 per sale per bottle, which means that in order to make a profit or to like even keep afloat, you have to price it equal or above this variable cost, which means that you have to price your wine's bottles above $21, but also keep it affordable to make enough sales in a month to cover your fixed costs. Then we can look at your scorecard. And out of these five, there are three main ones that you should think about, which are your number of competitors, your ease of entry, but then also your customer switching costs. And out of those three, the main ones you're really looking at is your number of competitors and your switching costs. But then even out of those two, I think your biggest risk, even if they're both high risks, is that your customer switching risk is your highest main risk. Because if you look at number of competitors, you can't really change that practically, can you? No. So that's why you look at your customer switching costs, which you can more easily and directly decrease or increase. You can increase, actually. And evidence to that is here, there's a quote review from your closest competitor, Holgate Hill, where it's basically saying their wines are great, but then they also have added that their environment is great. They had a friendly atmosphere and they're great vibe. So it's basically saying that they have something other than price that's keeping them keeping customers from switching to other wineries like yours. They have increased their switching costs, which made their sales much better. And that brings us to our strategy fix, where my recommendation for you to increase sales is to differentiate. We've already acknowledged that your low amount of switching costs is why you have a high risk in them, and that's why it's the greatest risk. So that's why by differentiating, such as you offer a special local tasting event, you can increase the amount of switching costs and make your customers want to stay more at your firm. And the logic behind this is easy. By differentiating, you're providing this magnetic draw to your firm. Or in economic terms, you're reducing your price elasticity, which means that even if your price changes, the amount of demand for your product doesn't change. And that is because you're not competing off of price alone now. You're competing off of your quality, your experience that you have tied to your wine by differentiating. And so, to reiterate, in the long run, differentiation creates these lasting memories in people's minds that make them want to come back to your firm. In other words, it makes them cultivate loyalty to your brand. And the more loyalty means more customers and more sales and then more profit in the long run. So, what do you want to do? Well, you can partner with local musicians and restaurants for these local events. And with these local events, you can show off local talents, but then also heighten your wine tasting experience that you offer, which is what is going to make your business boom. Thank you.